This will be a sacred school of learning. You will be taught in all the qualities of a chief. I go to the back.
How come you won't let you do it? Girls aren't allowed.
Make your enemies feel the fear.
He's got a lot of rules he has to live by. It's not fair.
Keep her away. It's distracting for the boys.
That old pucker's not the only one who knows some tricks. Could you teach me? Yes.
What have you done? You knew this wasn't for you.
I'm sorry, Pucker.
You don't mess around with sacred things.
What you saw is a trailer for the film Well Rider. This international film released in the United States in 2003. It is filmed on location in New Zealand. The director used native actors to portray native characters. The story is set in a small New Zealand coastal village. The Maori people claim descent from Palkia, the well rider. For the past 1,000 years, in every generation, a male born to the chief succeeds the title. The chief's eldest son fathers twins, a boy and a girl. But the boy and his mother die in childbirth. The surviving girl is named Pai, a name traditionally held for the chief. American society is inundated with images promoting Anglo culture. I feel it is important to seek out films promoting a non-Anglo view of femininities. Many of you may not know this film, and I wanted to share a beautiful and inspiring movie. Well Rider is one of my favorite movies. Pai, one of the main characters, feels an instinctive calling into a non-traditional role within her community. Supported by her connection to the whale and ocean, she demonstrates how a person can challenge the dominant cultural message. When Pai is about to leave her community, it is nature in the form of the ocean which supports her and also later changes the heart of her grandfather. The ocean can be seen as a representation of the African goddess Yemaya. Pai portrays a female character within a native cultural context, representing non-Anglo femininity, not with the idea as other mentioned by LaCroix, but representing feminine from within a collectivist and high-context culture. She embraces a natural leadership role inspired from the heart, as opposed to fighting dominant cultural values because it is her individual right, as commonly found within individualistic cultures. Well Rider portrays a young girl facing a cultural message that girls are not wanted. Now that you know a little bit about the movie, I would like to look at how ISA's hegemony and neoliberalism are portrayed in the film. Malin discussed Altheiser's ideological state apparatuses, or ISAs. The ISA in the film are represented in the family, her grandfather, who is also the chief, and church, seen as sacred tradition and the sacred school of learning. Pai's grandfather opens a sacred school of learning, and it becomes clear girls are not allowed to enter. She is not allowed in the school, and she is certainly not supposed to learn to fight with the traditional Maori stick. During the opening ceremony for the Sacred School of Learning, Pai sits at a bench where traditionally only adult men in the community sit. This bench is a symbol of sacred tradition and a place that girls are not allowed. Altheiser used individualism as an example of how church and school promote same ideology. Individualism is a staple value to American culture. Individualism is also found in the notion of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is a view that decontextualizes people's actions, focusing solely on individual acts. In the article that Pitcher wrote, Pitcher discusses the idea of neoliberalism emphasizing individual choice. As mentioned in the lecture material for this course, with neoliberalism, the individual is absolved from the responsibility of the collective. In Well Rider, we see a character living within a collectivist culture. This can be represented by her connection to the ocean and whale, also symbols of the sacred, and as well as her connection to her grandfather. In one scene, Pi tries to leave the community, but as the camera pans to the ocean, Pi tells her father to stop the car. In her moment of weakness, her connection to and love for the ocean and whale supports her. A possible collectivist notion of interconnection. When Pi sits at the bench traditionally only for men, her protest is a protest from behind and within. The Bannet Weiser article mentions girl power as being strong, independent, and unruly. These views reflect different ways of viewing feminine power based on culture. Coming from within a collectivist and high-context culture, she still has a responsibility to her collective community. In the scene, she is not bold in an American way. She simply sits where she is not supposed to, using nonverbal language to send a powerful message. It is her place. Now that we have analyzed ISAs and neoliberalism are represented in Well Writer, let's review how male hegemony dominates the community. Pi's grandfather is bound to an ideological view that only males in the community can hold certain roles and learn certain things. When he realizes his son will not stay and be chief, he opens a school to train only the boys within the community. He is convinced he will find a male heir within the community of boys. However, Pi, listening to an instinctive message, picks up her traditional Maori stick and teaches herself to fight. In the scene you saw in the preview, during a practice fight, she knocks the stick out of the hand of one of the boys. Her grandfather harshly scolds her. In conclusion, this film represents how ISAs, neoliberalism, and hegemony maintain the dominant cultural ideology that girls are not important and girls are not allowed to do certain things. Throughout this presentation, we have looked at how ISA, in the form of family and sacred tradition, maintain the dominant culture. We have looked at how Pi represents femininity from an individualistic culture and how hegemony contributes to girls not feeling valued in the community. Pi's demonstrates how to follow an instinctive internal calling, even when this goes against the dominant culture, and she demonstrates femininity from within a collectivist and high-context culture. I hope you watch the film.